Hey there, it's Kelly Donahue Piro, your favorite industry best friend. Well, I'm here to let you know that you've done something great for your agency by joining and listening in on our podcast or watching our YouTube channel. I just want to remind everybody that we're here to help. So if you need anything, drop a comment, go to our website, hang out with our chat, or just contact us. There's a problem in your agency, I got solutions, right? I like to think of it, you got a problem, I'll solve it. But let's get into the content today so that you can improve your awareness and knowledge of solutions that exist to the agency's core challenges. When I'm looking at my budget, I'm okay with paying a little bit more, but I'm not okay with paying more and having my insurance blow up in a way I didn't really think was going to happen.
You forgot to pay your insurance again. Here we go. Or are we having a conversation and educating them about the benefits of being on auto pay?
Well, I'm super happy to be here today to talk about retention with my friends Gina and Sarah and Steven. And as many of people know out there, retention's really a big part of my passion in insurance because I think so much is spent on sales training and getting sales in, but it actually doesn't really matter if you don't keep your customers. And that's the brilliance of insurance. By the way, in my mind, it's easier to get a new customer than it is to keep a customer. I always like to say it's easier to get a date than it is to get an anniversary of marriage. And I can say that because we're all married on here. Sarah hasn't hit an anniversary yet. But there are some years. So when we think about it, and one of the things we like to focus on is the data behind things. And we have a client, Gina knows, and I get emails or text messages. My agency's bleeding out policies. And I put this in the blog and I'm like, my head pops up like literally bleeding policies. And I have so many questions like, how does that work? And then you realize when people think very emotionally that it clouds the judgment of what do we need to do to fix it? Because there's, in my mind, several different ways to look at this, and we need to be strategic. So, Steven, what are some things when you're working maybe with an agency that you would have them look at if they were struggling or having an increase in cancellations?
I think the first thing is for cancellations specifically, like let's step past the emotion, look towards some of the facts. Is it insurance request, or are we actually diving deeper to find out what's happening? Is there a hot new market in town? Is there the team, somebody calls us like, I want to cancel my policy, and the lovely person is so helpful. They're like, okay, great. I'll send you over the form right now. Yay, I was helpful. Or are we diving a little bit deeper to find out what's actually happening, right? And was it one policy? Was it the whole account? Was it because of premium? Was there something better? Was it service related? I think when we take the step back and ask a few more questions when people are wanting to cancel, we can get a lot better handle on what's actually happening.
Well, Steven, it's always price.
Yes. And I pay
it's
more
than service. I give amazing service.
Yes. You answered the phone and sent that ID card right away and added no value to the conversation. You checked that box. Lovely. I was like, McDonald's going through the drive-through. And Lord knows I got my meal.
I know reasons if I want fries.
I mean, did you want to make it a meal? Are you using the app today?
Yeah. I think also to couple on what Steven's saying, I always like to look at policy, premium, and revenue because sometimes you might lose smaller accounts you want to lose. Sometimes you might lose a bigger account and feel like the world is falling. And so you have to really kind of dive into that a little bit. Sarah, I'm curious for you, what is kind of the retention angles you like to look at? I know you think retention is really critical. So how would you approach this in day-to-day operations?
So definitely making sure that we're aware of why people aren't staying. I think it's really important to really dive into why are people canceling? Why are people leaving? Is it because they're not paying their policies? Do they value the price over the value of the policy as well? And then also something that I really think that you touched on is that service is really important. I think a lot of times when we're having conversations from a sales perspective, we get into this mind space of, oh, if they don't bind this policy now, then like I don't want to waste any extra time. There's no point in giving extra pleasantries. But, if they're shopping once, it's because they're unhappy where they're currently at. And things like how you treat them, how you talk to them, how you educate them do stick with them. So definitely reviewing why your clients are not staying with your agency and whether it's due to non-payment, if they are not sure about pricing or remarketing, or even if it's something like there's underwriting reasons with the carrier. It's something that we do need to investigate and figure out what's going on and why people are leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gina, how do you approach this with clients, right? Like, you're looking at maybe the retention, the cancellations are high. What's sort of your go-to to say, all right, what's step one, right? Like, I'm having all these feelings, my policies are bleeding out of me.
I like to first look at a clean slate. So I want to make sure that anything that's canceling, we're looking at it accurately, meaning if policies are being rewritten, that's a huge indicator of how we're tracking real canceled policies versus ones that have been replaced with a different carrier within the agency. I don't like to see our cancellation numbers inflated or lost premium inflated just because we haven't gone in and recoded those rewritten policies correctly.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I also think it's really key as a data point that we haven't talked about yet is listening to recorded phone calls.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, we'll hear, the cancellation happens and it's like, oh, you want to leave? You found it cheaper at State Farm? I totally understand. Here you go. It's like, well, that's not trying to fight for your customer. Or, you go back and listen to some of the calls and the customer's frustrated, right? Like, what is causing some of that? And so the recorded phone calls, if you're not doing that, are a huge way to also get you additional data points. Now, Stephen, what indications do you have like, hey, someone's leaving midterm, right? So it's not at the renewal date. So sometimes these are not as easy to deal with because you're not expecting it, right? You just get the midterm cancellation.
I think smart agents right now are also learning you don't have to wait for a renewal. So if you're showing more love to a prospect than the current agent is, why not write it when you can? There's no time like today because you don't know if it's going to qualify tomorrow. So we might as well take it when we can. But I think if the team's getting a midterm, they also need to go danger, danger. Why are they leaving midterm? Because a lot of clients don't know that they can leave partway through the policy unless somebody else is telling them that. So did we not do an annual review, or at least did they not hear the soothing sound of our voice during a voicemail, telling them that we're here for them and we want to talk to them and we want to be an advocate or educate them on something? When they're calling in, are we actually treating it like an experience or just a transaction? Like, there's a lot of clients, they call us, nobody's talked to them for 4 or 5 years. And we're like, okay, I changed your vehicle. Have a good day. Okay, I got the certificate for you. Have a good day. And we're like, yay, I did it. And the client's like, that was mediocre and not memorable, but it got solved. Then somebody else comes along and makes us feel good. And we're like, shut up, I want them. Like, I'll pay more money for that. It's not even necessarily price, it's attention. They got educated or they saw value somewhere that we weren't providing.
That's fair. I think too, on the same token with the midterm cancellations, is everybody needs to really watch your endorsement process of changing a vehicle. We've seen a big spike like a month later after a vehicle change. And the reason is that no one told the client the premium changed. So now they got it either auto drafted a different amount that they weren't expecting. And I always tell people, like, you have to manage people's expectations. And nobody wants to surprise you have to pay more for your insurance. They need to hear it from your mouth with your words, with your actual vocabulary. And if they don't hear that, then you are opening up yourself to what I call like the surprise. And I don't know about you, but like when I buy a car, I get sold something a little more than my budget. Because, the full moon roof is very glamorous and
Very.
the color is the one I wanted, not the one that's, less, that is slightly different. And so when I'm looking at my budget, I'm okay with paying a little bit more, but I'm not okay with paying more and having my insurance blow up in a way I didn't really think was going to happen. That sound fair?
And a lot of times it's like it's almost a double payment of the difference too, depending on the billing cycle.
Right. I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
So then people tend to freak out.
And Sarah, what if like the client's going through everything and they see a lot of non-pays, right? So all of a sudden people just feel like paying for insurance is not fun anymore.
I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and they're like, today's the day I'm paying my insurance. Yes.
You don't do that? I do that on the 21st of every month. I'm like, yes, this is the day my account gets drained.
I don't think anybody has that thought process. It's insurance, and people who don't work in insurance or aren't in love with insurance or passionate about it, they don't wake up and they're just like, yes, I'm going to take $200 out of my bank account for something I may or may not use. So I think it's really interesting that one of the reasons people non-pay is they could forget about it. I think I've been in that situation before where it's like, I have extra money in my bank account. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot to pay something. Right.
Something's wrong.
Oh, that's the right response. Nice.
As long as you don't spend it on something else and then you're in trouble, right?
There's these Adidas sneakers I really want.
Encouraging your clients to get on auto pay is definitely one way to help those who may be forgetful. And then also they get discounts if they do that as well. So when you're educating your team on making sure that our clients are paying, instead of focusing on, well, let's give people a ring to be like, hey, you didn't pay your insurance. What do you want to do about that? Maybe we should start implementing, hey, we actually offer, or you get a discount if you have auto pay set up. And that way you don't have to worry about it. It automatically comes out. And the flip side of that coin is people are like, well, I don't want you guys in my bank account. I really don't. But like Netflix is in your bank account.
Jeff Bezos is all up in my bank account.
For sure.
He never leaves.
Absolutely.
If you see like my bank account, it literally says like Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. Sometimes I get mad because like I should have put it with another order to get like the same day delivery, but I didn't know I needed tinfoil in that moment.
Every time.
So if you're making those payment calls to remind people, you're going to want to review the script. Are you being friendly? Are you being conversational? Are you just transacting? Is it very dry? Is it, you forgot to pay your insurance again? Here we go. Or are we having a conversation and educating them about the benefits of being on auto pay?
Mm-hmm. That's good. And Gina, if you were to, take a look and you saw that there's a lot of cancellation reasons, we have like a list that we do in our retention program so that we get down to. And one of them that I always like to look at is price, no remarket, or price, no renewal review. So just to back up a story, we're doing a renewal review call program with an agency. And, when they looked, the team and Stephen will giggle a little bit because inevitably, whenever you launch renewal reviews in the beginning, the team always struggles to make them. Like, it's like a kid cleaning their room. Like the avoidance of it is significant because it's different. It's new. There's a lot of like head trash on it. So we have to sort of like really force the topic. But they started making them hit or miss. But of the people that they pulled in December that left, 90% people left didn't have a review. Like didn't have an outbound call, nothing. So I was like, well, that's a huge metric right there because that's a key denominator, right? Like that is big. So, one of the things I think we have to all embrace this year is we may need to open our mind up a little bit about remarketing. And you can go back to podcasts where I'm like anti-remarketing, not a fan, but the market conditions are shifting. And I think we have to be a little bit more thoughtful on remarketing, but also doing it with the right cause and the right reason, with the mentality of getting something from it. Don't just drain out the premium and cause everybody to shop. So, what's your thoughts on, when people are leaving, but the team is not necessarily following the protocols at hand?
That doesn't ever happen.
Ever?
Oh,
We-
well, I think it is important to first and foremost have a strong process in place when it comes to how we approach our renewal reviews or our remarkets. I think a lot of time too, why agents can be standoffish is because it's new. So getting used to it and having an open mind and just practicing it will make the team stronger. But when we're doing our actual remarket conversations, we need a game plan, right? I'm not just going to go into this, strip everything away, get a lower price, and hope they stay with a new carrier. I want to make sure I'm doing a full policy review, and that's how I'm framing it for the customer. Because if they're calling around other places too, they're probably not going to get as much education or better service that I can offer. So I want to make sure I'm coding it correctly. Am I maximizing all the discounts that are available? I want to really look at it as a fresh start to keep them with me. So if I need to put them elsewhere, they know that I'm advocating for them. I'm reviewing their account and I'm not just stripping coverages to keep them on board.
Yeah, or moving them to a worse carrier, right?
Yeah, like with like people pay for insurance. I mean, I hope no one ever has to use it. But if you do, that means you've most likely had a claim. So I don't want to just put you with anybody because it saves you $80 a year, but their claim service may not be as good and the benefits of the carrier are less than what you have.
Yeah. I think the big takeaways from this podcast are just you have to have the data and then you have to be strategic in your plan. You don't want to just come out there and be like, everybody's leaving. What is going on? Why, you guys need to save accounts. It's like, I think sometimes leaders get emotional themselves. And really, what I want to tell you guys that your team wants is actually the game plan. Like, what do I need to do differently? For many service team members, and I'm saying this like very blanket statement, this isn't everybody, they're not good at solving this problem. They want to be told, like, do these steps. And for the most part, they'll follow them. But if you tell them that, like, we need to boost retention, they don't really know what to do. Their default is going to be more remarketing. Just let's save everybody money because that seems like, well, if people are happier when they're saving money, and I said they're still not happy if 4 months ago we didn't return their phone call. So I think sometimes we have to maybe think a little differently about retention, that it doesn't just start at renewal. It starts every time we pick up the phone. Any final thoughts, Stephen?
I think that one of the things to really think about is take the step back and how would you want to be treated? Like, what kind of experience would you want? You're in insurance, but if it was a different industry and you were the customer, what would you want that experience to be? You spend a lot of money for insurance, and it's a promise on a piece of paper at the end of the day. So, or a digital piece of paper at this point. I guess I'm showing my age because I'm 100. But if you think about it, it's a promise that they never see. They pay and pay and pay and hope that someday it's going to cover something. So don't they at least deserve a call to check in or see if the promise is still good or see if we need to realign the promise? Because they're just paying money and they don't know what they're paying it for until they need it.
Fair. How about you, Sarah? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts is kind of like Kelly had mentioned earlier. When you're pulling those calls, sometimes we have clients that we don't want to save, right? Or we're just like, it's been nice, but it's time to see you go. And if your calls sound the same for customers that you're not trying to save and the customers you do want to save, we definitely want to look into our process and educate our team on how to do the absolute best for our clients that we do want to keep.
Perfect. And Gina?
My final thoughts would be to have an open mind when approaching anytime you remarket or do a renewal review. And remember that you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So the more energy you invest and the time you take with the customers, the more return you'll have with them staying.
All good things, guys. So use your data. And by the way, if you're stuck on this, we have a whole course on how to run retention, which even goes into what reports to look at, what should be the cancellation reasons, and what to do at each type of cancellation, as well as how to get your team going on renewal reviews, which, by the way, is universally the biggest driver that you will save clients. It will fix everything in your agency if you let it. And I just want to make one comment because a lot of times they say, well, that's a service thing. We need to focus on sales. You will sell more insurance by reaching out to your current customers and asking for referrals and cross-selling and locking them in. So it is not just in the service bucket. This is also a lead generation strategy if done correctly. And if you need help, that's why we exist. So you can get all the renewal reviews from either online video training. You can get the beautiful Miss Sarah doing small group training. You can have the pleasure of working with Gina if you're an emerging agent and getting your process down. Or Stephen and I can come in and actually just whip everybody to shape, be the biggest cheerleaders and accountability coaches if you've tried and tried and tried and haven't been able to get it to stick. So that is your options, but don't delay. Your reason we all got into insurance is renewable revenue. So we're crazy not to use it. So thank you, everybody. Join us in our next podcast on practical ways to retain customers in insurance. So we will see you there. Thanks, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It is so fun giving you guys tips and tricks every single, week out there. Remember, you can find us on social media for updates. You can like or comment on this podcast or video, and we're here for you. And check out our website. There's a ton of tools. We have over 1,000 blogs on our website. We have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. You can search and find answers to your top questions. But also, if you need a little bit more help, you want a best friend that's there cheerleading for you, giving you the guidance that you need, and being there on some of those tough days, let us know. We'd love to meet your agency and learn if we're a good fit. All right, signing off. Go sell insurance.